I'm just most drawn to things that might stretch culture in some way. Because every time you tell a story about an experience that, an audience member thinks they can't relate to, by the end of it, they can relate to that. Now that stretches open their hearts, their minds, that stretches culture, one audience member at a time. So I feel like that's the gift, that's the superpower of story. So why wouldn't we use it? Why wouldn't we try and tell stories that stretch people's hearts and minds and stretch culture? That's what we should be doing.
Hey, boss. The name's Nimona. Your sidekick has arrived.
I don't need a sidekick.
Every villain needs a sidekick.
I'm not a villain.
Nimona is this punk ball of shape-shifting, mischievous energy. This character who can be anything, who could do anything, who's so powerful, but really at her core, she's somebody who's misunderstood. And that's what this movie is about. It's a love letter to all those who've ever felt misunderstood before. Except in her case, the entire kingdom is out against her.
She just comes into contact with a whole cast of other characters like Ballister and Goldenloin, these characters who are shapeshifters in their own right in a different way, again, misunderstood and seen, outside of this kingdom that they belong to. And you start to realize sort of the universality of that story, of that idea of how we all kind of make these adjusts and these shapeshifts to try and be accepted by people around us.
I think this is a film for anyone that's ever felt other than. Anyone that's ever felt ostracized by society or villainized for the way that they look, present, the way they were born, anything that makes them who they are. I think the first thing that I said when I finally saw the finished product was like, man, I wish I had grown up with this movie. I wish I had seen this when I was a kid, because it would have let me get to so many places that I didn't get to till I was older, hopefully sooner, and just see that representation, you know what I mean, of someone being completely unabashedly themselves.
I think it's significant because it speaks to the wider theme about accepting people who aren't the same as you. And whilst in the film, Ballister and Goldenloin's relationship is not in any way an issue. It's not a cause of pain or rejection or from other people. It is actually a source of pain for Ballister in that he becomes estranged from Goldenloin, And so it is an important part of the film from an emotional point of view. But it's not an important part of the film from a thematic or issue-driven point of view.
Anyone can find them. It's me.
I love the stories that are like about love, but after the initial romance, and I love that this is in, one, an animated film, two, between these two queer characters, and that they are gay from the jump. You already get that they're basically in a relationship, but it's about the struggle about them being torn apart. That's the main conflict. It's not the will we or won't we. It's not the, ooh, I'm in love with someone I can't have. It's more, how do we define our relationship now that everything in the world is telling us that we can't be together, which I think is a really cool take on a gay romance.
I think it explores the difference between how someone is presented, whether they're presenting themselves, whether someone else has cast them in that role, versus who they really are. And I think that those things are always kind of different. We all have an idea of ourselves that we're trying to put out into the world. And then we have so many other selves as well that maybe we don't fully identify with, but they're there. And when we don't know someone as well, when we're only going off of our broadest assumptions about them, all we can see is how they're being presented to us or how they're presenting themselves. And I think that this movie is really about asking people to stay and listen and get to know people and see them close up and see them for everything they are. And it really is just like stripping back that veneer that says that this is normal, that this is how things are supposed to be, that this is what villains look like, this is what heroes look like, this is what monsters look like, and just asking you to question that. And I think that that's just like something that we should all be doing constantly as we move through the world.
It's really what it is. It's really get to know people. We unfortunately, and we've always lived in a world where sometimes we fear what we don't know and don't understand. We hear things from other people, we make up our own stories, but it's so important to get to know people. We can all identify with that feeling of we want people to not judge us. We want people to get to know us. Give everybody a chance. That's really what acceptance is.
Yeah, and I think the other, hopefully, key element of that is sometimes that bias isn't born out of malice or ugliness. Sometimes it's born out of concern. Like in the movie, it's born out of concern, misplaced concern, but because they didn't take a chance to step back and see what was really happening, it built into malice. It built into something negative.
What is wrong with you?
Can I have it?
What? Put that down. That is not for little girls.
Little girls. Okay. How old do you think I am?
I don't know, 10? All right, help me out. More or less than 10?
Not a lot of kids in your life, huh?
You know what? No, and I'd like it to stay that way. You have to go.
I think it's really summed up with Nimona's character. I think that idea of normalcy, the idea of, there's great lines about like people, once they view as a monster, they won't see you as anything else. It's just this really wonderful sort of irreverent critique of this idea of existing outside of these oppressive systems, and Nimona being able to take it down essentially by being herself is so wonderful. But of course then with the support of someone saying, I see you and I love you, and I think that's what's so special about how the film sort of culminates, is that being different, being rebellious, being a weird little chaotic gremlin shapeshifter, it's like really valid, and she never questions herself ever about that. That's not what she questions. She questions why everyone else has a problem with it.
I think that is so true, is, you know, you talk to kids and kids are so accepting, and kids are like, yeah, for sure, that person is that person because that's who they are. That's what they look like, that's what they want to be, whatever. And I think that we could all learn a lot from that pureness. You know, I think that the ideals that people of, you know, ostracizing people and treating people as other than is something that is a learned behavior, and that we all need to reprogram ourselves, quite frankly.
Thomas, I'm your official sidekick forever and ever. No take backsies.
Can you just be you?
I don't follow.